What's going on, people, and welcome to another episode of Riley's Talk. And we're going to get into episode 2 of my top 5 games of the week. Game number 4. So let's get right into the slides. But you know what to do. Hit the subscribe, like, and share button for the video. All right, the matchup. We have the New York Giants versus the Baltimore Ravens. On paper, this is actually a pretty good matchup, and I'll show you why in a moment. But right now, the records are the Ravens are 9-5, and the Giants are 5-9. So they're both on the opposite end records-wise. At Week 16, now the Giants being 5-9, you would think that they would be eliminated from the playoffs by now. But being in the NFC, they absolutely are not, and they are alive and kicking. Again, both teams are currently outside looking in at the playoffs, with the Ravens at the 8th seed right now, and the Giants are number 2 in the NFC East. So the Ravens are right behind the Miami Dolphins, and the Giants are right behind the Washington football team. So both of these teams are definitely in the playoff picture. But right now, again, they're on the outside looking in. Let's get into team offenses real quickly. So both of these teams' offenses are not all that great. The Ravens 21st in total offense, but they are first in rushing, with Lamar Jackson leading the way. They also are second to last in passing. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, are second to last in total offense, 16th in rushing, so they're somewhere in the middle of the pack. Passing, they're close to dead last. So let's get right into our next slide. Team defense. Now, both teams are not all that bad on defense. So the Ravens are number 9 in total defense. They're 10th in stopping the run and 14th against the pass. Whereas the Giants are number 12 in total defense. They do a pretty damn good job at stopping the run. You know, top 10, number 6, but they're 21st in pass defense. So get to the next slide. And enough with the small talk. Let's play some football. I mean, we went through the team offense, team defense, and those are cool. It gives you a great idea of what's going on. But you have to dig a little bit deeper trying to figure out the best team through the numbers. So enough with the small talk. But things to consider. Can Lamar Jackson beat you in the pocket? I think the love affair with Lamar Jackson is over with. Reason being, we've seen over the years, if you watch a lot of NFL football, over the years, we have seen numerous Lamar Jackson type players. Their first 3-4 years, they come out, they are really athletic. Guys are chasing them all over the field. The fans get all over them. But after a while, NFL defenses catch on, and they just sit up there and make you beat them in the pocket. And Lamar Jackson, as you can see, they're not all that great in the passing game. So you have to, in order to beat the Ravens, you have to make Lamar Jackson beat you in the pocket. This is a playoff eliminator for the Giants, in my opinion. Now, they can lose and still have a shot, but this is pretty much their last chance. That also depends upon other NFC East results. Again, back to the passing game. Both of them are not good. Completion percentage. Jackson is 24th in the league, whereas Jones is 33rd in the league. Now, what's funny is, obviously, there's only 32 NFL teams, so how does Jones become 33rd? Where there's a couple of other quarterbacks, such as Joe Burrow for the Bengals and Andy Dalton for the Cowboys. Andy Dalton for the Cowboys. They are better than Jones. You know what I mean? So that's how he's on the outside looking in. Now, turnovers. Both teams actually do a pretty good job at holding on to the ball and creating turnovers. That's why the Ravens are at a +4 margin and the Giants are at +1. Things also to be considered as well. Ravens, 31st in the league at passing yards per game with 173.9 yards. I mean, that's, for the NFL, that's really, really low. That is, you're not even getting 200 yards passing. I understand you have a great run offense, but there needs to be more balance from the Ravens. Giants, 23rd in passing yards allowed with 264.5. So, again, they're a good defense, but they have a tendency to give up some decent passing yards throughout the game. Jackson's running ability will open up the passing game for the Ravens. You know, that's pretty much what he has to run in order for him to be passed, because he cannot just beat you standing in the pocket. In this particular game, the Giants will opt for more of a ball control style offense to keep the Ravens off the field. Now, what one team does best, the other team doesn't do well to stop. What I mean by that, the Ravens. They average 28.8 points per game, and that's tied for that is 6th in the league. Now, the Giants, They are ninth best at points allowed in the league. So as you can see, this compare and contrast here, the Ravens score more points per game than the Giants allow. So that right there is something to keep a good matchup on. So the Ravens, back to their passing game again, they've only scored 22 touchdown receptions all year, and that's 20th in the league. But as you can see, the Giants have only allowed 20 themselves, which is top 10 in the league. Now, what the Ravens do well, especially through their running game, they're fifth best. They are fifth best in third down stops. So their defense will take you off the field to get back to that running game. At the same time, the Giants are seventh worst in converting third down. So these are a bunch of compare and contrast and things that you need to think about before the game starts. Keys to victory. Tampa 2, Lamar Jackson. For those that don't know what the Tampa 2 is, it's a defensive scheme. It's an advanced defensive scheme with the cover 2. I have no clue why teams don't do this more against this guy. You put a decent amount of pressure on him, but you also don't let him downfield. Just keep a Tampa 2 on this guy. The Giants, do what works. Do not try to be fancy out here today. Do not go off the script. Do what works. Both teams, especially the Giants, you're going to need a special teams TD. The Giants especially. You need a punt block for a TD, punt return, kick return. Who cares how you do it? You need a special teams TD today. KISS, one of my favorite acronyms. Keep it simple, stupid. Again, both teams, but more specifically the Giants. Just keep the game plan simple unless you have to absolutely open it up. Do not try to go off a script. Ravens, extend the play. Extend the play, especially with Lamar Jackson in the passing game. So, with the typical 3 to 4 seconds to pass, the Ravens, in order to get open downfield, are actually going to need more like 5 to 7 seconds to get open. That is a lot of time because anybody that's ever played cornerback or any form of defensive back, no matter how long you hold a guy out in the secondary, at some point, he's going to be able to break off from you. So that's why the Ravens are going to need to extend the play. All right, teams interested in the outcome of this game. The entire NFC East. As I said earlier, the NFC, all 4 teams are still mathematically alive in the playoffs. The Browns. Now, the Ravens have a head-to-head win over the Browns. Remember the Monday night game a few weeks ago where they scored at the last minute of the game? So the Ravens have a head-to-head win over the Browns. So if the Ravens were to win and the Browns were to stumble, the Ravens technically would leapfrog the Browns because of the superior victory right there. So the Colts, that's another head-to-head win for the Ravens. So again, 2 teams that currently are in front of the Ravens right now. If they were to stumble, the Ravens then would tie them, but the Ravens have, the head-to-head victory over them. The Dolphins. The Dolphins is pretty much, all they got to do is just win and hold out, and they pretty much are in the playoffs. So any slip up by the Dolphins, then you get into a bunch of crazy tiebreaker scenarios with them and the Ravens, and I don't think the Dolphins want to go through that. Now, with this game, there is no clinching scenarios for either team. So even with the win this week, for either team, they do not clinch a playoff spot. Now, the Ravens, they jump into if 1 of 3 happens. The Dolphins lose to the Raiders, Browns lose to the Jets, or the Colts lose to the Steelers. So they become from the 8th seed, and they can go as high as the 5th or 6th seed if one of those 3 things happen. Maybe even all 3 of them happen. Gambling. As always, I get my sports gambling from Rivers Casino. To me, this is quite a high point spread, and I wouldn't be surprised before a kickoff if it went down a little bit. Right now, the Ravens are projected to win the game by 10.5 points. So for those that's going to bet the spread and you want the Ravens need to win by 11 then. So the reverse for the Giants. Giants are favored to lose the game by 10.5 points. Ravens, the money line. The Ravens are at negative 480. So you need to put up $480 just to win 100. Reverse of the Giants. You put up $100, you win your 100 back, plus you win an extra $380 if you take the Giants on a money line bet. The over-under, 44. I personally think this over-under is slightly too small. Although both teams' offenses are not that good, I just really don't see a 21-17 style game out of these 2 teams. I think the over-under here is a little bit too small. So if I were gambling, if I were you, I would take the over. That's me though. My predictions. Giants will fight, but they will run out of gas in or around the 4th quarter. They have things to play for, and as we can see, the Giants' defense is not all that bad. They're pretty decent, especially considering the fact that Baltimore's offense, the passing game in particular, is not all that great. Expect Jackson to return to MVP form. I think, I'm about to say, can you make Lamar Jackson stay in the pocket and beat you? Today, I think there's too much on the line, and from his last game a few weeks ago, I think Lamar Jackson is going to return to MVP form again in this game. My final score, I have it as the Ravens 31, the Giants 20. The Giants, again, will fight, but somewhere about the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter, they're going to be put away, and that's going to pretty much be the game. They might get that one extra touchdown towards the end of the game, but again, final score, 31-20, Baltimore. So as always, like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching Riley's Talk.